Hey guys, this is Angelo. Making another video. Just kind of gonna go over, recently, I don't know if anybody's watched the NFL draft, but the Green Bay Packers made a very surprising move in trading up in the NFL draft to draft Jordan Love, quarterback out of Utah State. We all know that Aaron Rodgers has been the man for the Packers since 2009. They drafted him in 2005 to kind of be the heir apparent to Brett Favre. Well, we all know that Favre at that point in time, he contemplated retirement, and for the next 3 or 4 years, he was kind of unsure whether he was gonna retire or not. That situation was a little bit different just because, first of all, they didn't trade up. Aaron Rodgers just fell to them at, I don't know, the 24th pick, I believe. And, they didn't have to trade up and get him. And it's just it made sense. He was a phenomenal quarterback coming out of Cal. But this was a very shocking move to me just because, they move up in the draft. They traded up a little bit higher to get Jordan Love. And, maybe, what's his name? Brian Gutekunst, the GM of the Green Bay Packers, maybe, I don't know, maybe he saw something in him there was a lot of hype going around with him being a Pat Mahomes light type deal. So, I guess if you feel like you've got your next heir apparent, whatever, you go and take him. But the problem is Aaron Rodgers, he's got 4 years left on his contract. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. This just creates a problem. And, Aaron Rodgers is the type of guy where, well, first of all, if you go back, I watch a lot of sports. He's had a lot of talk where, he's basically said he sees himself playing into his 40s. Tom Brady's talked about playing until he was 45. Aaron Rodgers has expressed that he'd like to see how far he can go. And, the man's 35 right now. His contract is up when he's 39. So, that's your normal rookie contract is a 4-year. That's how it is. You get 4 years on a rookie contract. So Jordan Love is going to be under there. You drafted a first-round pick that's going to basically be riding your bench for the next 4 years, and a lot of people sit there and say Aaron Rodgers is a very, injury-prone guy. Well, he's only had 2 seasons where he's not played a full entire, or at least above 13 games. You look 2017, he played nine or 7 games. There was 2 years. 1 year he played 7 games. 1 year he played 9 games. It was 2017 and 2012 or 13. I think it was 2012. He played 7 games. And he's been their starter since 2009. Like I said, he was drafted in 2005. He's been the man for so long. And then, as much as, duress as he's taken his whole career, like I said, he's missed only, I think, 18 games in the last 10 years. You do the math, a 16-game schedule for 10 seasons, that's 160 games. You only miss 18 of them. You're a pretty reliable and a pretty durable quarterback. I do like Jordan Love as a quarterback coming out of college. My first thing is when I look at a NFL quarterback coming out of the draft, first of all, I always check completion percentage. Little known fact that people don't know about, there's never been a successful NFL quarterback that has come out of college that during their college career they completed under 60%. I'm looking right here. Jordan Love has a career completion percentage of 61.2%. Now the rest of the numbers I basically just rounded to the highest number or the closest decimal. So, but let's go over his career stats. He played 3 years as a starter. He was a junior when he entered the NFL draft, so he started his whole entire career. 2017, he actually didn't start the whole year. He came in kind of halfway through and just took the job over. But Utah State finished out 6-7 that year. I'm sorry, guys. I have animals at the house, and I don't know if you guys caught Butters, but he's hopping on the table and trying to do his thing. Hats off to him. They finished out the season 6-7. Jordan Love that year completed 54% of his passes. He was a freshman. That's you're coming into a team from the Mountain West, which is not one of the Power 5 conferences. 8 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, sacked 7 times. Had a total of 1,631 passing yards. It's very respectable for a freshman quarterback. I didn't get into rushing stats. He's obviously mobile. All quarterbacks are mobile nowadays. Well, let's go to his sophomore season, which this is where he started to kind of get a lot of hype. You know, you have to be a junior before you can enter the NFL draft. Well, Jordan Love took the Wolfpack, or no, I'm sorry, they're the Aggies. Utah State is the Aggies. I'm sorry about that. They took the Aggies 11-2, completed 64% of his passes, 32 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, was only sacked 9 times. Threw for 3,500 passing yards, 3,567 passing yards. Well, that year they won their conference and, had a very, very successful season for Utah State. 2019, this past season, Utah State loses a lot of guys. There's a lot of turnover, and, they're not coming back with a lot of the same starters. They lose like 3 offensive linemen. He loses a receiver, and I believe he lost his running back, if I'm not mistaken. This is like literally all off the top of my head. I don't necessarily know exactly who he lost, but I've read that he lost a very significant amount of pieces. They wound up with a 7-6 record. He still did complete 62% of his passes, throwing 20 touchdowns and 17 interceptions. But this is the stat that really stuck out with me. He got sacked 20 times. So if you're looking at a guy who the year before he was sacked 9 times, he's now more than doubled his sack total in a season. So that just means that he's constantly under duress. But he still managed to pass for 3,400 passing yards, 2 yards above 3,400. He finishes out his career with a solid 24-15 record. Completes 61.2 of his passes, throws 60 touchdowns, 29 interceptions for exactly 8,600 passing yards, which that's a very respectable career during a 3-year period, especially when only 2 of those you started the full entire year. This is where the problem is. Jordan Love is a very competent college quarterback. We have no idea what he is, Sorry, guys, that's Butters again. He likes to hop up on the tables. He's a very competent quarterback, but when you have a quarterback who's 35 years old, he's expressed that he's wanted to play until he's 45, at least into his 40s. That can be done with all the rule changes that have happened in the NFL. As far as they're about protecting the quarterback. As long as you stay in the pocket, they're about protecting the quarterback. Once you go outside of the pocket, that's a completely different story. Just to give you an idea, Aaron Rodgers, first of all, did not play his first 4 seasons in the NFL. He was the backup and learned under Brett Favre for the first 4 years. So he's really been in the league since 2005 was the year he got drafted. He got drafted in 2005, and he didn't get his start until 2009. The following year after that, the Packers went 6-10 that year and during his first season. And but he showed a lot of promise. They didn't have the best team. This is back when they had a very young Clay Matthews and A.J. Hawk and a bunch of different guys. But Aaron Rodgers showed a lot of promise in his first year. He ended up winning a Super Bowl the very following year and put up a lot of great numbers. But Aaron Rodgers has been the starter for them since 2009. So he's now played 10 full seasons with them. Or he's played 10 seasons, 2 of which were not full seasons. Like I said, there was a 9-game season and a 7-game season due to injuries. But, I've done a little bit of math, and this is kind of a lot about, a lot of this math that I'm going to do is going to go into another video where I do a little bit of a player comparison, but I'm not going to get into that too much. Aaron Rodgers, taking out the first 4 seasons, taking out the 9-game season and taking out the 7-game season, because, if I'm going to sit there and compare your, 16-game, progression, what you average out on a full season. I'm not going to take in the years that you didn't play. I'm not going to take in where, if you played 12 games or more, I would account for that because that's enough to sit there and actually kind of account for stats. But I took out the 2 years that he did not finish out the season. Aaron Rodgers is on, averages out in a full season, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and averages throwing for 4,200 passing yards. Now, he's been in the NFL for 15 years. So if you put him on a 15-game pace, that's 6,300 passing yards, 49 touchdowns, 495 touchdowns, and 105 interceptions. Just to put this into perspective, Peyton Manning played, averaging out his, he played 16 full seasons in the NFL. Tom Brady has played 18 full seasons in the NFL. Peyton Manning has 71,940 passing yards, 539 touchdowns. So you're talking about a man who, like, on a 15-game pace, if he played a full 15 games and kept to his normal average, he would only be, after 15 games compared to Peyton Manning's 16, is only 46 touchdowns behind him. He's only 48 touchdowns behind Tom Brady, who's played in the NFL 18 full seasons. This is taking out the 2008 year where Tom Brady, missed that whole entire year and Matt Castle came in as the starting quarterback. He had 541 touchdowns his whole entire career during that run. 74,000 passing yards, 74,571. Aaron Rodgers is elite. And, you would think he's an aging quarterback. He's 35. He's been in the league for 15 years. Like I've said, 4 of those years, he didn't play. That takes in a lot. Like, that's 4 years you didn't get hit. That's 4 years you didn't get sacked. That's 4 years where you haven't had to trot out there week by week and practice and go and play in a game and, do all of this. I mean, he still had the mental side of it, the game studying and all of that and learning under Brett Favre, which Brett Favre really never actually taught him, because he's come out and publicly said that wasn't his job. It was not his job to train Aaron Rodgers. It was his job to learn it on his own. But, I mean, obviously he watched Brett Favre and saw how he prepped, and that's just Aaron Rodgers being a good student. I've been one of the people who've been a very big advocate for Aaron Rodgers. A lot of people say, like, when he first came to the NFL and he really started taking off, a lot of people were saying, this man is the greatest quarterback to ever play. Well, after not making a few Super Bowl appearances that we thought he would make, the discussion kind of went south. My argument is, a lot of people say that if Dan Marino had won one NFL championship, he would be in the mix for the GOAT conversation, the greatest of all time. We're currently watching if Dan Marino had won one Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers has one Super Bowl. He has just one. And this man, through 15 years, if he played a full 15 years, is on pace to be ahead of what Peyton Manning is, to be ahead of what Tom Brady is. And that's, that's the part that really gets me. Like, statistically, he is, to me, the greatest quarterback to ever play the game if you look at his year-to-year trajectory. I'm going to be putting out another video that really dives deeper into, comparing him, Tom Brady, and Peyton Manning. That's something you guys are going to see coming very soon. I just got to do a little bit more, stat diving and, figuring out different things. But maybe the Packers get it right. Maybe Jordan Love, sits under, Aaron Rodgers for a year. I don't know. Honestly, the type of competitor that Aaron Rodgers is, I don't think that this is something that they're going to sit there and just, he's going to sit there and let this set in with him. Because, I mean, the man came out publicly on the Pat McAfee show. I don't know if anybody watches that, but he's come out publicly and said, we haven't drafted a guy in the first round in 15 years. I think it'd be cool if we drafted a skill player. And that's what I meant by that. In 15 years, the Packers haven't drafted a skill player, which is running back, wide receiver, tight end. They haven't drafted a skill player in 15 years. The last time they did that was 2004, where they drafted Javon Walker. He's a fairly decent wide receiver and played several years in the NFL, played for the Packers and the Broncos. So I don't know if you're familiar with that, but just a little history on the NFL. But the Packers turn right around and they trade up and get Jordan Love. Maybe they hit it right. Maybe they go on this huge run where for 30, 40 years they have, great quarterback play, because they got Brett Favre in, I think, 93, and he was their quarterback till 2008. So that's a 15-year run. 09 to 2019, Aaron Rodgers, Yeah, I know, buddy. It's okay. 09 to 2019, Aaron Rodgers has been their quarterback. For the foreseeable, at least for the next 4 years, he is under contract to be their quarterback, whether they decide to trade him and he decides to, pack it up and get out of town, because he's not cool with the fact that they drafted. Now, this is not what he's come out and say, but the competitor that Aaron Rodgers is, he's not okay with them drafting trading up and drafting. If Jordan Love fell to them, whatever. But the fact that you trade up, that's a statement. That's making a statement pick. So, in conclusion, maybe the Packers get it right. Maybe they go on a 50-year run where, they just have excellent quarterback play and, again, get one Super Bowl out of that quarterback. Because we all know Brett Favre, 96, that's the only Super Bowl he got. Aaron Rodgers, 2010, that's the only Super Bowl they had. Jordan Love, maybe he puts together a good 15-year run or whatever, and they get one Super Bowl out of him, which would just be the funniest thing in the world to have. If he became one of the great quarterbacks, and then they have 3 consecutive great quarterbacks and get one champion out of each of them. I think it would have been really cool if they had drafted someone to kind of shore up that defense, whatever. This is a team that in the NFC Championship game against the San Francisco 49ers that allowed 184 rushing yards before contact. So just to put that into perspective, the average team in the NFL probably runs, I don't know the exact statistic, but the average team in the NFL runs for, somewhere around 100 yards per game, whatever. This is 184 rushing yards before someone even made contact with him. Okay, that's awful. That's just god awful. And you're going to sit there and trot out that. Now, they made it to the NFC Championship game. They went 12-4. They won their division. Aaron Rodgers is a bad man, and he's the reason why they are there. Now, they went out and they signed free agents, and they got certain guys the year before. And they beefed up that defense a little bit. I've got deeper stats into exactly where their defense was, and it wasn't as beefed up as people thought they were. But that's for another day. This team was atrocious in the NFC Championship game. They've not drafted a skill player since 2004. This is something that that he adamantly wants, is to get someone who's going to help him out. They can trot out in 2020 and just chuck it to Davante Adams every single play and then maybe dump it off to Aaron Jones regularly and see what he can do with it. But, that just seems like what they're going to do this year. But, realistically, if this ever gets out to Green Bay, if you want to go on ahead and punt the season, basically, and wind up with another great, regular season and, not wind up in the Super Bowl, and even if you do make it, lose out to Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs, be my guest, go right on ahead. Disrespect the man who's given you 10 great seasons, and has been the face of your franchise. And the only reason why you've sustained greatness since Brett Favre left. And honestly, the year before Brett Favre left, the Packers went 4-12. They were a god-awful team. Just god-awful. They can't draft. They don't sign people. They don't do nothing. And they just, expect Aaron Rodgers to just basically wield this team every single year. They don't address the offensive line. They don't address the defense until the other year with free agency. And you're just basically sticking the greatest quarterback to ever bless the game with what skill he had. And just being like, what we're going to do? We're going to trade up into the first round, and we're going to get a first round. We're going to get Jordan Love out of Utah State. This is nothing against Jordan Love. I'm not hating on him. He was really good for Utah State. Put up great numbers. But you're going to tell me that instead of going out and drafting a Laviska Shenault Jr., which granted that would have been a high-risk pick to do in the first round, but that was a high-risk, high-reward because he's had injury. You mean instead of drafting him, you mean instead of potentially trying to see if you could trade up to get a CeeDee Lamb, which that would have cost a lot of draft capital. Even that receiver out of LSU, I can't, honestly, off the top of my head, I can't. I think his name is Jeffries, something Jeffries. I'm sorry. It's really like I'm drawing a blank here on his first name. But even he would have been okay. Even that would have been good. I would have personally liked to see maybe a Laviska Shenault Jr. just because, if he can stay healthy, the man is a game wrecker. We know from the first play he ever had in college football where he recovered that fumble and just ran it off for a touchdown. Do something. But instead you go and draft the heir apparent. There's other quarterbacks you can get. You can trade for somebody. You can address that issue. The man has 4 years left of his contract, and you're going to just decide to spit in his face and get a quarterback out of Utah State in the first round that you traded up for? I feel bad for the people of Green Bay. I feel bad for the people that invest into becoming ownerships, because if you didn't know, they're actually the only team in the NFL that's owned by fans. They don't have an owner. They're owned by the fans. I feel bad for them. I feel bad for Aaron Rodgers. I do feel bad for Jordan Love, because he didn't ask for this. You know, he didn't ask for this. So, in conclusion, that's my whole entire theory on the Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers debate, and that whole entire debacle. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to be posting a little bit more and making a few different videos. You know, this one ran a bit longer than I expected, but, you know, it's baffling to me. But you guys have a great night, and I really hope you enjoyed this video.